Good morning. This is Christine Cole with Odd Embodiment. It is Sunday, and today I'd like to start just by breathing. Today is Sunday, the culmination and just the last day of a 5-day journey. So welcome, and welcome yourself. Welcome yourself. We have had 140 people daily watch these videos, either live or later. And so please don't feel bad that you're not showing up every day. There is something about being in a group that creates a sense of flow, creates a wave of knowledge building that you are part of. It's okay to rest in the group, in the ocean, and take care of yourself, your life, showing up when it's best for you. All the activity and attention of embodiment that the group has been doing, let that flow into you. You do not have to hold this alone. I do not hold this alone. I'm just a speck that was really, really needing to do something at this time. So breathe. A habit, something you do regularly, doesn't need to be done with force. Hop on the boat, hop off the boat, be kind to yourself. Be wild, be dangerous, but be kind. So all the last days I started really wanting to let you know that you could take each class alone, but today I want to acknowledge the journey we've taken. And we started with spicules. So we had the experience of sponges in the ocean that we think of as very soft and full of water. And yet they build these gorgeous, fine, spiky bones, or out of glass or horn or calcium. And some of us felt the amazingness of multi-directionality of these spicules. We also felt how the sponge contributes to the flow through of the ocean, how it's not a passive thing, and that we have that still in our body, the ability to take things in and through and out and filter what we want and release what we don't want. Day 2, we blebbed. This whole journey is a bleb. We're creating a temporary organ of togetherness, of embodiment today. And these blebs that happen early on in our embryonic skin, they're these little vacuole in the center, so space in the center that can hold fluid, letting it in and out, and they're given a little energy pack of glucose, and eventually they're released into the amnion, creating the amnion. So do not worry in this special time right now to create these temporary actions, curiosities, art. I want to give you permission to create these temporary organs and fulfill what's necessary right now and let it go and not know what it will feed in your life later. The blebs don't know. The blebs just go float. On the third day, we might maybe have eaten our brains. We looked at the sea squirts that their babies, their larvae, show all the signs of a higher organism. They have a notochord, they have a nerve cord, they have a little brain. And all this allows them to flit around, being sent out into the ocean. And they become mostly food for others, which happens often. Yay. And but they need this little brain and they need a temporary way to find their way, to know what's up, what's down, what's light, where they can best land, and where they can find a new home. And when they do, they no longer need all this sensation of gravity, for example. And they reutilize their brain. Some of it goes into the digestive tract, which reminds me a bit of this time in COVID where we are all suddenly very engaged with food. And so allow some of your nerves to go into the digestive tract. Let yourself be in this state where we're having to sit so still so much. I trust that you are doing what you need. You're eating or dancing or meditating, that you are writing, that you're breathing. I trust you to find this moment what is good for you. Because yesterday got chaotic. Not only was it toddler muscle day, but all hell broke loose with technology. And so I was a bit like a toddler, and that can be unsettling. So I ran around doing things, and we ran around doing things, but we also allowed our muscles to be first. And we entered into the embodiment of teams. So muscles as teams. In our group in Zoom, after we realized we were not quite prepared for this embodiment in our Western society, where we think it's about individuality, where when teams get together, they create a hierarchical structure, or they fight, or they give in and they give up hope, they give up their own agency. But at some point, we realized that the muscle teams were actually cognizant, 4 or 5 cognizant nuclei that were all contributing to the sequencing of our muscles, and that we were on the edge, and that we had something to learn, and our brain wouldn't help us there. So here we are today. I welcome you for the 5th in a habit of embodiment. You can go back anytime, see anything. And I'd like to offer you the hanging cocoon organs in our muscles that I don't want to call them sense organs, but they sense movement in our muscles, but they contribute to tone and movement in our muscles. So I'm going to give you, see what time it is. I'll give you 2 minutes. We'll just move, and I'm going to try to be quiet. I'm going to ask you to just move and find your body, and then I will introduce in more detail the muscle spindles. Allow yourself to release yourself from the screen. I have to shake something off to do that. Give yourself three-dimensionality. Give yourself opportunities to move in different ways. So yay, I like knowing that you're all out there moving. And I want to remind you of the toddler moving. So the toddler is moving kind of just like moving, not necessarily purposeful, more energetic. Like, it's not like I'm going to go do this. It's like you just start doing things. And what that does is it trains the muscle spindles. So these, I'm going to show you now. So this was yesterday's muscle fibers. And in between them hang these cocoons. And these are, I wanna call the machine in a good way. They're not just passively perceiving if the muscle is stretched or not stretched. They also can change their length. And they do that so they can be very reliable recorders. So if you see this here, so this, if this is a muscle spindle being pulled, here in this range, it can measure the length of muscle tissues very well. But if it gets pulled beyond that, if it's like this, it can't. So what it does is it actively pulls itself back together, or it changes its length. It also can't measure when it's really too tight, too close. And take my fingers out, you can see like it's just, there's a more measurement possible. This is hard for our brain, but you have this jolly muscle spindle in there willing to change shape. So I'll be the muscle spindle. It's like, oh, you're going to be more stretched. Oh, I will change. Oh, you're going to go in. Oh, I will change. I will activate. I will let you know that you're too tight or you're too close. So in order to do that, so it's hanging in there, kind of alive. It's an alive organic sense organ that has more possibilities than most. It's not passive. So just for a moment, just move. And I want you to know that like your fingers have many, they have like hundreds per, your mouth has many spindles. But every time you move, I want you to just hang for a moment, move, and know that these muscle spindles are hanging in between your fibers. So there's elasticity in them, but there's also activity of their own muscle, their own shaping in them. So this is what many people call the sensing of movement. But I'm going to say it's the moving of the muscle spindle, the ability to respond in its measuring, that is the sensing. So don't think of sensing as a passive thing. This is a very active thing. So when the muscle really lengthens and stretches, the muscle spindle will talk to it, and it will change. The muscle spindle will change its tone, and then the outer muscles will go, oh, okay, all right. So they have a conversation going, and because they're connected through connective tissue, through the whole muscle, through the whole body, all these muscle spindles are talking to each other. And that is the hum. That is the hum of information that the brain gets. All these millions of muscle spindles telling the brain what's going on, telling about this relationship, this dance between the spindle and the muscles. I'm going to show you the two kinds of beautiful nerves that register this movement. One is the annulospiral nerve. And you can see how the spiral would change as the muscle spindle changes shape. And the other one is the spray ending. Here's my little spray ending muscle. And we also have these mainly on the ends towards the tendinous parts. So as somatic, so as you're moving, you are creating a hum of these muscle spindles, and you're creating activity in space. So often in somatics, we say we are sensing, we are listening, We are knowing our body. We are knowing where we're at. We are experiencing our movement. We are getting a ride in our brain and in the brains of our muscles, the spindles. We're getting a ride with our movement. And lastly, these spindles can initiate a change in your tone. So I can actually bring up the tone of the spindles to relax my body. I can use the connection between the spindles and my mind and my brain to attend to the tone underneath my movement. And that we often call being somatic. So we're not just moving like toddlers I think it's great. And I think we need to keep going back to that to clear the synapses, but we are conscious of our movement. We are conscious of ourselves, of our body, and movement is the main thing we organize in our brain. So after you've cleared the synapses, please bathe your movement in the hum of these spindles and allow yourself to be at rest or at movement. Thank you all so much for this week. I really came into it with, I have to do this. I love body research. This is what I can offer. And so nice to see that I struck a chord. And I'd love to stay connected to you if you'd like to. Let me know if you'd like to. Just sign up on the website or put your little, like my Somatic Body Facebook page. We will continue a few more odd anatomies, but anything else that we're planning, which we are, after we let the blebs go of this experience. Yeah, this is yours now. Nice to meet ya. Have a good day.